Hello, facilitators! Welcome into another video. My name is Marci Melzer. I'm an intuitive speech pathologist from wavesofcommunication.com, and today I'm going to be talking about functional conversation tips for parents. I've actually got 5 tips to share with you today, as well as functional demo. I've got some little friends here with me, so I'm going to do some demo of all these strategies in role play situations, because that's one of the best ways to practice conversation and facilitate improvement in that area. So definitely stay tuned for tip number 5, which is the demo of those role plays, okay? And before we get started, I just want to share with you really quick that parents are a child's first and best language facilitators. And I just want to share with you all the ways that I facilitate parents. Number 1, you can learn just how powerful your new language models can be. You got to change your language models, and this free Get Started guide shows you how to do it. My workbook helps you plan the whole process and get to where you need to be, where you want to be with your late talker. And if you want guidance, you can work with me directly at wavesofcommunication.com. You can learn how to do all that. And for those of you that want to learn independently, I have an online workshop where you can learn the process. It teaches you how to use the workbook. And then that's what I do, is I work with people personally to help them uncover the unique reasons, blockages to your child's speech. And if it isn't fun, it isn't fun, because the reality is, folks, this whole process is a natural thing that parents all around the world are learning to do. And one of the things that parents get really held up about, especially if you maybe have been in quite a bit of prompting in your past, you've been able to facilitate the ability for your child to use needs-based language. Maybe they're using single words. Maybe they're using echolalia, but they're using something to communicate these things. And what I have for you today is, for those of you who feel like language is starting, words are coming, you see things coming out, these are the tools that are going to help you move past those single words, phrases, scripted stuff that your child has, because it is these conversational experiences that they need to help them develop more. So let's get into the tips. Number 1, I want to show you here, is to start conversations from needs-based expressions. So already, like I said, the main thing that works to teach a child that speech is effective for them, is valuable, right, is when they're able to say something and get what they need. They don't have to use those behaviors anymore where they're pushing and dragging and climbing or getting it for themselves. These things they can't get on their own. They've learned how to ask for them, and that's probably made you very happy. So this needs-based expression is coming. Your child may say things like, cookie, because they want a cookie, or they're walking into the kitchen because they're hungry. So these are both needs-based expressions. One's verbal, one's nonverbal. And still, even with this basic expression, your child is hungry. Then you can evolve that into a conversation by adding 2 components. The why is a child hungry? There could be a million different reasons, but that's something you can talk about, because that's what conversations are, is something you can talk about. And then the other thing is how that need is going to be met in conversation, and your interest or ability to meet that need. All of that can be spoken about and practiced in conversation. So when your child comes to you saying, I need, whatever, in whatever way they say it, the first thing you have to do to elevate this from the needs-based into conversation is highlight the topic of the conversation is the need. Oh, and what I would do first is say what you intuitively interpret, because that's how conversations start usually with Q&A. We're going to get to that tip. But this one is all about expanding what you do know into a way to talk about even the experience of your child wanting something and them actually getting that thing that they want or need. So it starts like this. Your child shows you that they want something, and then you talk about the fact that it is a need. Wow, you are hungry. You're coming to the kitchen, and then say what you're seeing, just like we do with the to advance the needs base, because we only get from a single word. Sorry, I'm dog sitting. So if you hear a dog in the background, he gets excited about the people outside. But anyway, so again, he needs to express, my dog, the dog that I'm sitting, needs to express his interest to communicate with the people outside. It's a need. He's triggered, he's excited, he needs something. That's what the conversation will begin around. You're hungry because it's almost lunchtime, or you didn't eat your breakfast, or it's been a long time since you've had a snack. Or if you don't know if your child's hungry, but they're just coming to the kitchen because they want to connect over you getting them some food, you also know that because you know when the last time was they ate, and you also know what they look like when they're hungry versus when they're bored and trying to get your attention. See, this is where your intuition comes into play whenever you're working with advancing and evolving any kind of communication. So your child is already telling you, I want this, I need this, and you're using your intuition and connection with the child to understand why. And then you also know in your own head whether that thing is allowed right now, whether you want, you're putting your boundaries, you're thinking, you're considering all those things in a very split second moment. And your tendency may be to just say, okay, I understand what you want. Here is that thing, to show the child that their communication is successful. But that's not how we advance it, right? In order to turn that into conversation, it has to begin with the whys and hows. And even your willingness to do that. Oh, it's a good idea that we have a snack right now. Or maybe, what are the good ideas to have, and why are they good ideas? Now is a good time to have fruits and veggies because we ate a lot of donuts yesterday. So maybe today we pick a healthy snack. Or we've been eating a lot of fruits and vegetables lately, and I know you like the sometimes food. Maybe it's okay to have that sometimes food. So why is it okay now to have the thing you have? And how is it still within the boundaries? See, this is where the conversation begins. I know it's not something that we have all the time, but this is a special treat. Or I know it's something that you get all the time, like we have it every day, but we just don't have any in the house, or they're out of it, or your brother ate the last one, or whatever. All of these are the conversations that surround needs based experiences, expressions. So the whole process of your child letting you know what they want or need and you getting them what they need, it's your opportunity to turn that experience into a conversation. I always say these needs based are like a golden egg. Your child is bringing you the opportunity to teach them because they want to communicate with you, especially about the things they want and need. Okay. All right. Let's move into number 2. Now, don't forget, folks, to stay tuned to the end of the video because I've got role play demos coming up at the end. So you can see me demonstrate how this looks with my little toy friends I've got here for me, my little potato heads. Okay, so the number 2 tip that I have for you to do this, let me just check this out. Okay, Sharna's coming, so thank you so much. I'll get to those in just a minute. So, all right, let's see. So you're going to share your opinions and why you feel that way. Okay. So this, we talked about it a little bit with the idea about the needs based. Okay. But this is your opinion, and it's not surrounding needs. Maybe it's surrounding your needs or not wanting needs, but this is opinion. So it's different than I'm hungry, like I'm feeling a need. This is, I like it, I don't like it. I'm afraid of it. I want more of it. It makes me excited. It makes me whatever. Like, your opinion about an experience is always the trigger for a conversation. I want you to think about, with these tips, about how you would strike up a conversation or even end a conversation, as you look at some of these other tips, with someone you just met. Maybe, or someone but you haven't seen for a while, and you want to get updated and fill in about things. They're going to share what they know and like, and you're going to share what you know and like, and then you're going to have opinions about what that other person says. And the same thing happens with your child, right? You're going to see them doing things that delight you, that frustrate you, that freak you out, that scare you, that worry you, all those things. And your opinions about what your child is doing, and even the experiences that you have to do yourself. Your choice to take a shower versus a bath, your choice to drink a cup of coffee in the middle of the afternoon, your choice to, whatever you want. There's needs about those things, but why did you choose coffee and not this? Remember, we just also talked about why these choices and opinions are important, because we talk about it and everybody's opinions are different. So this is where conversation comes in. You can agree and you can disagree, and it's conversation. And opinions are a super cool topic because you can agree to disagree. Everybody doesn't have to feel the same way about eating chocolate cake. You can say, I like this about chocolate cake. And that's where the conversation digs in. What do you like about it? Not just I like it, I don't like it. That conversation doesn't go very far. But why and how? I like this because it makes me feel this, and I keep wanting to do it. That's why I put it into my schedule every day. So, for example, I love sleep, and I make sure that I get a lot of sleep every night. In fact, I make sure that I get all my chores done so that I get to bed before a certain time. And you see your child using these habits and patterns of their own behavior in their own choices because of their opinions, because of their preferences, right? And that's what we're talking about here, is highlighting the preferences that already you have and talking about them, not just you like this and you don't like this. It's not always binary. Sometimes people like when you have a drink of something, some people like the taste, some people like the temperature, some people like they only want their coffee hot or lukewarm or chilled or iced, right? Or depending on the day, like when it's hot, my opinion about hot coffee goes way down, but when it's freezing cold, I love it like crazy. So these are the things, right, in your life that you have opinions about, and that you can't have the opportunity whenever you're doing something, especially when you're doing something together. And you might have opposite opinions. You like spicy mustard, I don't, those kinds of things. Excuse me. So that's how this idea of what I'm talking about here, sharing your opinions and why you feel that way, is an excellent tool for you to start conversation. Now, I want to highlight something here. If your child is still emerging language, and you might not think they're ready for conversation because they're still only using single words, they're not even using phrases yet, or the only thing you hear that's longer than a single word is just songs or things they're imitating or whatever, you still need to work on conversation now, because in the process of this expansion, like I said, from these typical things that people are usually use as transactional communication, I want it, I need it, I like it, I don't, it's I communicate only enough till I get my message out there and then I'm out. This is not conversation. This is just projection, right? And do you understand me? Do you get me? Do you want me? That's not conversation. This is direction or management, right? Which a lot of parents feel like all day long you may be doing with your late talker. And that's why conversational speech isn't coming out of you, because you're too busy thinking about what you got to do or what they got to do or what the next thing is coming up in your life. And you've missed out having the conversations about the things you got to do anyway. It's not a means to an end. It's actually talking about every little thing you do and having a conversation around it. It might slow you down because you are having more conversation around things, but you will see spoken language magically increase, because what's going to happen is your child's going to find things they like. So that's the next tip, is choose and use conversation starters that could be valuable to your child. Now, how do you know they're going to be valuable to your child? Because the people your child watches are using them. They could be the people your child sees on videos. If your child's not watching videos, they are the things they're learning, because your child learns about conversation, how it works, the back and forth. You say this, I say this. When I say this, you feel a way, and then you say this, and I say this, and it's back and forth and back and forth. And what I say, you're listening to and responding to, and what I say, you're listening to and responding to. That's what conversation is that we're talking about here. And the only way that anybody learns to feel confident having conversation is by first watching other people have conversation and then trying it for yourself. But what do you try? You try the things you hear other people saying. So as you think about the people in your life that you talk to all the time, or you have all the time, they say phrases to emphasize their point, to get your attention, to keep you on the phone. Wait, I've got one more thing to say. Here, listen to me. Watch me do this. Will you listen to me? I've got to say this to you, right? They're going to say these starters, grabbers, keepers, because somebody who can have conversation and has an audience that will listen to them, they might want that. Some people do. You'll know them in your life. I'm actually one of them. I'm a conversationalist. I keep people in conversations longer because I'll be like, wait, I've got to share one more thing before you go. Those kinds of phrases. These are the starters or keepers in conversation that are going to help you to expand. Let your, excuse me, these phrases, watch me, listen to me. Here's how we get it started. I'll demo them for you at the end of the video. But what you'll see when you start to say these phrases, that your child will pick them up. So that's why you're going to choose and use them, because you're going to use things that your child is familiar with, that they see a lot. Maybe that somebody else says, hey guys, all those kinds of, like I say, hello facilitators, you're the best. Like, those are the things that I say a lot because they're in my habitual conversational language. And everybody has these little phrases that pay, key phrases that help them. And you want to learn what those are. And that's what this tip is all about. Watching other people have conversation by yourself and with your child. Let's listen to what they're saying. Like when you see people talking about it, or if you watch a video together, especially a drama where people are, even these story-like shows, Paw Patrol or Wonder Pets, or, any of those where they're like, whoa, they've got to talk about their situation and figure it out and make a plan. And all that's done with cooperative communication, back and forth. Everybody's on the same page, right? So it's not necessarily directive, but cooperative. And that's what you want to do, is you want to watch other people having successful cooperative conversations and pick up some of the phrases that they use, okay? Now, number 4 is to replace Q&A conversations with storytelling. So I had the opportunity recently to take a peek at that Love on the Spectrum show, right? So they've got these adults with autism, and they all struggle with communication in some way or another. They're all spoken language. They speak, most of them with pretty clear speech, but there was one gentleman who got so triggered by the environment that he lost his words completely. He was barely able to use a 1 or 2 word phrase on the date because he was so overwhelmed in anxiety about the environment that his words just shut down. And so what I did notice from the show, though, because that's one of the other things that prompted me to talk about conversation, is that this situation is really challenging. When you're in a stressful situation, it's sort of a circle, right? You're worried about not saying the right thing, so you have struggled to say the right thing, and then it increases your worry and fear about saying the right thing and all of that stuff, okay? So this Q&A situation sometimes is the only tool that kids will use. What do you like? I like this. What do you do? I do this. What do you know? I know this. What's your favorite? Blah, blah, blah. My favorite is this. That's all Q&A, right? And that's not conversation with back and forth. because in real conversation about back and forth, you're going to get stuck. What happens when you run out of questions to ask, or it just turns into, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? In fact, on the show, I saw this happen a couple times with a couple different people. They got nervous, and then it was all about, in this Q&A situation, they found the person's topic of interest, and then they just started asking them questions about their topic of interest, and the person who was responding with the topic of interest was like, great, I know how to answer these questions. But it wasn't conversation. It was two people, talking to each other about this topic of interest, but there wasn't any shared experience, opinion about those things. It was just, show me what you know, here's what I know. And they both felt good in that environment, but it wasn't a conversation. How you fix that is with storytelling, okay, folks? So what you do is you have to plan ahead for all these, and that's why the role playing, that's why number 5 is going to be helpful for you. But what goes on with these situations is that you get stuck in the loop of the Q&A. So what you want to do ahead is you want to think, okay, if you want to talk about your topic of choice or the child's topic of choice, because it doesn't matter either way, you're bringing something to the table that is a back and forth. You want a back and forth. You want to pique that person's interest in their brain so they listen, because conversation requires both listening and speaking and responding to the other person. So while you're there in this Q&A situation, you have to think about, okay, I know I've learned from my questions, what's your favorite thing to do? And they tell you, I love trains, or I love, I'm thinking about some of the characters on the show, what the things they love, medieval things they love, or whatever. And so instead of just asking a lot of questions about that thing, just ask the person to tell you some of the things they know. Or in fact, what makes it even more like a conversation is that they can share an experience they had with their topic of interest. Tell me about a train ride that you had. Tell me about your experience, or show me how you do those things. If the child's less verbal, then these adults on the spectrum are talking with each other about things, but they're trying to figure out how to say the right thing. And I think this starts very young, that children want to know. And these Q&As are a common experience that a lot of late talkers have in their therapy, right? Many times therapists and even parents that I consult with all the time, who have watched my videos and looked at my books, when they send me videos for analysis, almost everything coming out of their mouth is a question. And that's because people who do have language use a question to start a conversation, but that doesn't work with a late talking child who doesn't know how. And that's why you have to start with storytelling. Talk about an experience. Go back before you go into your story. I remember when I was younger, these are the key phrases, right, that other people use when they tell stories. I remember when I was younger that I had a same situation. This is going to get that person to listen to you because they want to know what you did. They want to learn from you. They're interested in how you're going to share. So instead of asking a question, how was that for you? How did you feel? What was it about? What did you do? All of those things to spark them to talk about their experience. Think about a way to encourage them to tell you about what happened to them or for them or around them. Did you see anybody? What happened when you went there? Right? I know it's an open-ended question, which seems like, we're not supposed to do that. And you might not always get an exact perfect answer. But if you are just pulling information, then that's going to increase your communication partner's anxiety, because they're not going to know if they have the right answer, because it feels like a quiz. Right? Even though you're just asking them to share what's on their mind. With questions and answers, it's rare for them to move into conversation because they end up being so pressurizing to the person who struggles with communication that they're going to do their best to escape it as soon as possible or end it, because it can't end. It can't go forever. There's no such thing as a never-ending Q&A. How many times can you ask, what's your favorite, or list your favorite. And that's why you might see, like I saw this habit in the show, in the Love on the Spectrum show, where once the person started talking about their thing, it was difficult for them to stop because they were just spewing facts, because they've been taught that that's how people see that you know things, is that you say facts. And so they'll spew these answers to questions that they have learned their own way. And they might even be learning in their own mind when they're doing research about their topic of choice, the trains or whatever, that they're asking questions in their brain and answering those questions too, because that's how they were raised in a therapy situation or even at home. So this is a really super important tip, that you replace all that Q&A conversation with storytelling. Okay. So now really quick, I want to remind you to please like and subscribe to my videos. It always helps my show, my program, my platform, for these videos to get out so other people can enjoy them. And yeah, share this video with anybody who you think is needing some coaching with conversation. Okay. So now we've got tip number 5, which is role play conversation strategies to prepare for every social experience. So what I've done with the other tips is I've talked about some of the reasons that late talkers actually would start a conversation and why they might need to, and how you can expand those into conversations. So let's go back to the needs-based, right? So I actually have 2 characters here. This is a little doctor or nurse. She's wearing medical clothing. She has a little she has an otoscope here. For all of you who have had kids with ear issues, you know what this otoscope looks like. She's wearing her glasses. She looks like a doctor, and she doesn't have to. You don't have to use actual characters, but this is a really kind of good situation when maybe your child has a need, that they have some pain or issues in their body that they don't know how to communicate about, and you want to have conversation around that need. Get the pain taken care of, how you're going to do it, all those things. Then you can use the doctor, and this other character is actually a pirate, so he can be the one who has an earache, and she can be the doctor. And so this pirate has all of his little things, and I've just chosen characters that already have some little, that's why the potato heads are fun, because they have little things they can use with them. And anytime you can add extra, costumes or props or whatever, that might help make your play, your pretend play, role play, a little bit more real, so that the late talker can make those connections in their brain from these play experiences to the real experiences in their life. It doesn't have to be human-like people or whatever it even can be. I've got my farm animals here to use to practice with. So it really doesn't matter what you use, but the idea is these characters can have conversation with each other, and I can have conversation with them too. So this is where your child, again, they're attracted to this, and you can put on a show. You're the one who says these things. Your child doesn't have to say the roles. You can say all of them. All right. So that's one of those little tips about role play. So let's say, oh no, this guy, he has an earache. I'm going to take his sword and stuff away and just kind of turn him into a boy. So he said, oh no, my ear hurts. Oh no, and I could be the mom, right? And this is my friend or my child or somebody I care about, right? Because they know that I care about them. So they're telling me about their problem and what they need. So I'm going to show with myself that I really want to hear that need, and I want them to tell me about it. And this little guy, because I'm making his voice, he can say everything, right? It's not like your child could respond to it. They can say everything, and they'll watch you. And what you can do is give your child one of the characters, and you hold one of the characters. And even if just so that you can interact with their character even, and that's less pressure for the person. So some demo for needs-based. Okay. And maybe they're just crying. And pulling on their ear, right? Which is a common situation. Or I have seen the uptick in symptoms. They're jumping around more. They're pushing, they're pulling on, they're doing the kind of these things. And I see those situations. So I'm going to approach them and say what I see and what I think. That's how I'm going to start the conversation. Oh, hi. I see that you are touching your ear. It looks like it might be hurting for you. And then I'm just saying what I'm assuming that need is, because remember, there was a needs-based communication. The child pulled on their ear. They looked sick, hoping, right, that somebody like me is going to come to their rescue. And so here I am coming to the rescue for their need. But the first thing I'm going to do is talk about that I acknowledge what their need is, and look for that confirmation. Because I'm going to say, I see that your ear hurts, and they're going to reach and touch their ear. Like I'm just showing with mine, and he might reach and touch his own. And I might even do that with his hand. Yeah, see, my ear hurts. It's my ear that hurts. Oh no, friend. I have a friend who's a doctor, and she has a special tool to look in your ear. Let's ask her to come and look. Okay, mommy, is it gonna be okay? I'm scared. I'm scared. It's okay. I'll make sure I tell the doctor that the doctor has to be very gentle with you about your ears, because I know you're scared. And even if the child doesn't say they're scared, they look scared, right? So I see the doctor. Hello, doctor. I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad we're here to see you. My friend has a ouchie on his ear, and it hurts really bad, but he's awfully scared because he doesn't like doctors very much. And that gives the doctor a chance. So now I've talked about it, I've shared about it, I've talked about this, and now I'm going to have a conversation with the doctor. And the doctor's going to say, okay, I understand. Many kids have trouble in the doctor, but I'm a very gentle doctor. And I've looked at lots of kids' ears. This is the tool that I use. Do you want to look at it? What is that? Can I touch it? Well, this is the thing for the doctors to use, but I can hold it. If you sit on your mommy's lap, here, you can sit on my lap. Okay, I'll come and look in your ear. Are you ready? Okay, I'm ready. I'll hold your hand. Okay, so I'm holding his hand. The doctor comes, she looks. Are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's all right. Ooh, let's see what's in there. Oh my goodness. It looks very red inside your ear, and it's not supposed to be red like that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's going to happen? What's going to happen, right? Even non-verbally, they're going to share what's going to happen. It's okay, doctor. Is there a way to fix this so my friend can feel better? Yes, as a matter of fact, we have a special medicine. It's drops, and they're pink, and you can put them in your special juice, and you take them every day, but you have to take them every day. Okay, what if I don't like it? Well, then the problem is if we don't take the medicine, your ears won't be better. Okay. So, like, you can see how the whole conversation surrounding this situation is gonna happen with these characters. So that's a need, like, a big need that they have. But let's say they just, like I said in my previous example, they just want a cookie. And you've got a mom and a kid, and she wants a cookie. So, here is Horse saying, I'm hungry, because they've walked into the kitchen, they found their thing. Hey, I see you walking into the kitchen. We had lunch about an hour ago. So, and you ate a whole big, plate of food, but you're back in the kitchen. I wonder if you're really hungry. And then they might go and, yeah, I'm really hungry. I want to eat cookies. 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 Whatever they're going to do, you can play and say the same kinds of things that your late talker says, whatever they say when they want something. If they're going to go get it, and you can say, oh, I see you trying to climb on the cabinet. Oh, I know you want to have cookies now, but you know that I'm always happy to give you cookies when you come and ask me. All you have to do is come and bring me to the kitchen. And you can even, if your late talker is nonverbal, you can say, just show me. And then they follow them over, and then they point to the thing that they want, over there. Oh, you want that? Let's get it and bring it over here and sit down at the table and eat it together. Or, I know it's okay to have a treat. This discussion. about why it's okay. I know we only have 2 cookies every day is our rule. Yes, that's our rule. Only 2 cookies every day. 1 cookie for each hand. Yes, 1 cookie for each hand. And then tomorrow we'll have more cookies, right? So you want to have these characters talking to each other. You establish who they are. Like when they're dressed up as the doctor and the patient, it's pretty easy to figure that out. But that's needs based. And you heard me using long phrases to talk about why they have it and whatever. And my speech is probably a little bit faster than you should be when you're introducing this to your late talker. But the key is to make sure that they're listening and you're saying things because you're going to be using the tips that I showed you about before. Okay. So let's see. Number 2 was to share your opinions and why you feel that way. So we already talked about a little bit about with the doctor and patient thing about, I don't like doctors. I don't like shots. I don't like medicine. What if it doesn't taste good? All those things. This is what's going on. And the doctor has an opinion too. Well, I know sometimes medicine tastes yucky, but if mommy can put it in some applesauce and you take it really quick, the yucky taste goes away fast. And what else goes away is your earache. So then, explaining why and having a conversation about why medicine is important instead of just saying, here, take this medicine. Why using this equipment is important because helps me see inside your ear and I have to see if it's red or whatever. Why do I need this tool? Why do I need this thing? And why is it a good idea or not a good idea? That's how you're going to do it with these characteristics. So again, let's think about something that's more, that I want to do something in the future. Like, hey, like I saw a video about pirates and I want to dress up like pirates. Like they always dress up like pirates. They love pirates. They love sword fighting. So they always get their sword and they turn things into swords, right? So this is when you see your late talker choosing pretend play and those kinds of things. And if they're not, that means they haven't heard enough stories, which is the next one, to get into what they need. But if they love something that they found on videos or in a book or whatever, and they're in a phase where they love pirates or whatever, then your pretend play around that topic of focus is easy to share opinions because it's their topic of interest because they love it, right? So that's what they're going to do always with their modeling, right? So you're going to model what you like. I want this. I like this. I like the blue one, the color, the phrase, the whatever that you're doing with your pretend play. So, hey, I want to play pirates, or you've got your pirate sword. I see your pirate sword. Oh, you want to have a war. You want to have a battle. You want to have a thing. Why are we having a battle? Oh no, the princess is stuck in the tower. Oh no, all those, oh no, look what's here, those kinds of things. You can talk to the animal or the character and they can talk to each other. Hey, will you come help me? The princess is stuck in the tower. Oh no, poor princess. Let's go together. Let's walk over to the tower, climb up the tower and get the princess out. I have my sword ready. Okay, I have my special whatever, pretend I got my glasses on so I can see them. Whatever you say, they're going to talk to each other and use these phrases like your kids see in YouTube videos or in shows or whatever. Okay, so that's the role play for these back and forth surrounding common things or places you have to go. So you want to do this doctor-patient role play before you go to the doctor. You want to do this teacher-student role play before you go to the school. If you're going to a picnic, if you're going to a amusement park this summer, a water park or something. Okay, we're ready to go to the amusement park. Whoa, look at all these people. There's a lot of people at the amusement park. We're going to have to stay close together, guys. You make sure you always stay by me because I always want to have my eyes on you. The reason we're all wearing neon yellow shirts or bright orange shirts or whatever color that you picked, pink, whatever, for your family to spot them, to find them when you go into those places, use a little pretend play scenario to review those safety things that you want to see. This is how we're going to stay safe in the park. Everybody's going to stay together, guys. Okay. Yeah, I'll stay with you, mommy. Okay. I like to hold your hand in the street. Okay. And even how are we going to do it? I can hold your hand when we cross the street. I can, excuse me. Let me have a little drink. Sorry, folks. Goodness. So yeah, I can keep my seatbelt on in the car. Okay, that's a great plan. That's how we stay safe at the park. So we talk about how we're going to stay safe, what we're going to do when we wait. We're going to have to wait in line. Sorry, folks. Excuse me. We're going to have to wait in line for the roller coaster. What are we going to do while we wait? We can play with our fidget toys. We can have a mini sword fight. Uh-oh. I don't know if sword fights are a good idea while we're waiting in line. Other people might get hit by your sword. I think we should leave your sword home from the playground or home from the social experience where you're afraid your child's going to smash people with it, right? And when they go to that social place and they find swords and they get it with their kids, guess what? You come back home and say, oh no. He says, oh, sword fights. Sword fights make me afraid. I want to run away. I don't care. Ooh, how does that make her feel? Ooh, oh no, pirate man, you made her cry because you didn't respect her feelings, or you hit her with your sword and she didn't have a sword, or you took the sword away, or you turned her fishing pole into a sword, or whatever, all those things that happened in these scenarios at the daycare, at the whatever. You come home and pretend play and talk about these things. And this is how conversation, right? Remember, this is the remedy or the replacement for you picking up your kid at school and going, what did you do? How was your day? Whatever. The teacher's going to tell you, the babysitter's going to tell you, he's having trouble with this, he's doing that. A lot of them send you videos even of what the kids are doing there at the daycare, and you've got to help work through those things with these pretend play characters. Is going to really help you hash it out, have the conversation, because maybe if you turn this into a Q&A, why are you doing, you can do it, you can't do, you can only do this, you can't do that, and he says, but what about my love of swords? When do I get to do my favorite thing? When are we going to play swords? Like, I love swords and I think about swords 24/7. So when are we going to play swords? And you got to have that conversation. When are we going to play swords? Well, swords are a home thing that you play with daddy, and we have to ask to play before swords, because fighting, some people don't like fighting games. That's it. I'm just one of those. I don't like fighting games. And when I stay with families that are all big fighters, I just have to let them know, this is my boundary. And that's your opinion. No, thank you. I know you like it. Go play. I'll watch you. But please don't make me play with you. I don't want to play that toy. And that your child feels the same way about other kids. Come play this chase game with me. I don't like to be chased, so I'm going to sit on the side. I don't want to ride bikes, or I want to chase, or I want to do whatever. You know what these kids want, you see. And in these pretend play scenarios, this is your opportunity to practice through them with phrases that will work, okay? All right, and that's how you're going to do the storytelling too. You're going to tell a story about what happened at the daycare. Oh no, teacher told me that you were yelling and screaming, or that you wanted to run away, or that you were very sad, at the school, or that, you wanted to eat somebody else's food off their plate. Who knows what they wanted to do? These things happen because kids, especially kids with limited verbal skills, they're going to use behavior to communicate, and they absolutely know what they want, what they want, what they need, why they want it, their opinions, and they also want to talk like other people. And that's why the idea of you modeling these back and forths, role play in, pretend play situations with your characters, that, you put those roles on to pretend play people. So if they do something wrong, it's not your child. You did it wrong. You have to say, oh, that's not appropriate behavior. No wonder your friends are angry, because nobody wants to get whacked with a sword when they don't want to, right? But if that's something your kid did because they're hooked on swords, that's a conversation you have to have, mommy, right? Because they don't understand. They don't know better, right? These role play situations, this is how you show them better. than what they know now, because all they know now is the limited spoken language, the scripts, the words, the single words, or whatever that they have. And if you're pulling it out with Q&A, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? All that stuff. This conversational language will never come, because you'll be too busy trying to read that kid's mind instead of facilitate their ability to tell you what's on their mind, because there's way more on their mind than just I want this or I want the blue one. Why do they want the blue one? Why do they want the fuzzy one? Why do they want it cold? Why do they want it hot? Why do they want it now? Why do they want you and not dad? Why do they want dad and not you? All those things are exactly going on 24/7 in your house, and you might just be managing all of that behavior. But these are your golden eggs, folks. This is how conversation begins. And you'll be remarkably surprised at how fast your child will start picking up and trying new phrases when you start doing this kind of pretend play modeling with your friends, and you talk to them like they're kids, real people, not babies, not animals, even, like whatever. But even if you talk to them like animals and you be the farmer, the cow says, moo, moo, moo. And guess what? It's feeding time, just like your dog, right? They come around. It's their time to eat, or a little bit before. In the case of my grand dog here, he comes up. And I'm like, I know you're ready to have your food. You want to eat your dinner. I know you want that now, but it's not time yet. This dog has an automatic feeder. It literally comes out 3 times a day on schedule. I can't make it go any faster. I want it faster. I want it faster. So guess what? I have to communicate with this dog. Okay, I know you want your food to come out faster, but I can't do anything about that. And I know it makes you sad because you want to eat right now, but I can play with you. Maybe let's go have a little walk. And by the time we're back from our walk, then the food will be out and you can be happy. So you always offer what you can, and you tell it to the animals, tell it to whatever. And because your child, that's the other thing. The last thing I want to leave you with is they are watching and listening. They know that you want to help when you offer them things, when you're not pulling things out of them and just managing them. But when you communicate and share stories and talk about things and say, hey, let's talk about what's going to happen tomorrow when we go pick up grandma from the airport, or when we go to the zoo, or when we go to the beach, or when we whatever. Because now we've got summertime in the US, and you've got a school holiday break coming up too, probably over there in Australia. And so all of this time that you have at home with your kids, and even if you're homeschooling or they're not going yet, all of this time through your day, every single thing through your day, instead of just managing this activity, start to facilitate conversations around those things, and you will hear language come out spontaneously. You don't have to pull words out of children who are connected and already communicating with you nonverbally. It's when they're isolated, alone on videos in the corner, doing their own thing, that you can't get anything done. And when you're doing things for them like a baby, you can't get anywhere besides exhausted, right? Because now you've got an older and older and older kid. Some of these kids are teenagers, and parents are still doing for them because they've been in the habit. The parents are in the habit. But see, you are the best facilitator of your child's independent evolution. And you are not raising babies, we're raising adults, right? And just like the folks who are working with those folks with Love on the Spectrum, that I saw in that show, their counselors, their coaches, their friends, they're advising them about these same tips instead of just spitting out what you want, how to listen, how to respond, how to end a conversation when you're uncomfortable, and just be done and be okay with that. And of course, accept how everyone communicates, because everyone has conversation in a different way. These tools are to help you facilitate whoever your communication partner is, no matter what level of speaking they are. These tips help you facilitate a better exchange, a better back and forth. And that's what a lot of parents are looking for. So hopefully these strategies will help for you. So one more time, I just want to remind you, it's up to you to help your child share their wisdom with the world. And if you need any guidance or you want to know how to do that, please visit wavesofcommunication.com so you can learn from me how to exactly what you need to do in your unique situation with your unique child in your unique household, wherever you live. Whoever you live with, whatever your aim and goal is, that's your role, is just to facilitate every single day, day by day, at least 1% improvement in one area, and then the experience of feeling the improvement, both you and the person you're facilitating, the late talking person in your world, are going to feel better. You're going to feel equipped and empowered to keep doing the work, to expand your spoken language into the words that you need to share your wisdom with the world. And so pretend play, role play, conversational examples with storytelling is all how it happens, folks. So give these tips a try. Comment on this video if you are experiencing positivity. So I know I did see a comment here from Sharna. So hey, Sharna, I know Sharna's all the way in Australia. I met her and her little guy. I've been watching your videos and trying to help Xander, and your tips are awesome. He's saying new words every day. Not all words are constant, but it's great. And that's how it goes, folks. This is how it works. New stuff every day when you facilitate it, right? And yeah, it's not consistent because your child, once they learn a thing, they're busy learning more. There's more and more and more. And once they figure out that how this process works and they activate their own neuroplasticity for more functional conversational language, they'll never go back, guys. These are the kids that potentially can turn into chatterboxes, the kids that aren't saying anything now. Once you key in their neuroplasticity for conversational language and they get hooked on a topic of interest, they can tell you stories all day long about why and how that thing is amazing and why you need to know more about it and all of that stuff too. And so it's really important for you to know how to exit these conversations gracefully. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I've got to go now. And it's perfectly important to advocate for yourself. In fact, next week, I'm going to talk about how to get out of some of these more challenging conversations with people who want to pressurize you and how to maybe escape instead of get started. But you got to get started before you can stop. And these tips will help you with that. So thank you so much for joining me, everybody. And I will see you all on the next video. Bye for now.